I was in the kitchen when my husband's phone lit up on the counter. He was in the shower. The screen showed a missed call. The name was not saved. It only said, St. Luke's Hospital. I stared at it. My husband had told me for years that his parents were alcoholics and cut off. He said hospitals were part of that past. He said they were dangerous. He said I should never ask questions. When he came out, I asked him why a hospital was calling. He didn't hesitate. He said it was spam. He said hospitals sell numbers. He smiled and grabbed his keys. He said he was late for work. His voice stayed calm, his eyes didn't. After he left, I checked the call log. The hospital number was real. It had called twice this week. Always when I was not around. I sat down and tried to connect the pieces. He had avoided family talks. He never shared old photos. He always changed the subject when my mother asked about his parents. At work, my assistant asked if I was okay. I told her I didn't sleep well. She said I looked tense. She said my husband's assistant had called earlier, asking if he was sick. That didn't match his story about being at the office all morning. That night, my husband came home late. He said traffic was bad. He kissed my head and went straight to bed. His phone buzzed again. He turned it face down without looking. I stayed awake and listened to him breathe. I made a decision. I would not confront him. I would not warn him. I would watch. I would listen. I would find out why a hospital kept calling my husband behind my back. The next morning, my husband asked me to drop his lunch in his car. He was rushing. He said his assistant needed him early. He kissed me and left. I took the lunch and went to the garage. His car was unlocked. I opened the trunk to place the bag. A glass bottle rolled forward. It hit my foot. I picked it up. It was whiskey, half full. The label was expensive. My husband had always said alcohol ruined his family. He said he never touched it. I checked the trunk again. There was another bottle under a blanket. Both were hidden. I put the lunch inside and closed the trunk. I didn't move for a long time. This was not a mistake. This was planned. He was hiding it from me. At work, my assistant sat across from me. She asked if everything was okay at home. I didn't answer at first. She lowered her voice. She said his assistant called her again. She said he sounded nervous. She said he asked if my husband had left the office suddenly before. That made no sense. My husband said he had meetings all day. I checked the time. He hadn't called me once. He always called at lunch. When I got home, he was already there. He acted normal. He laughed. He asked about my day. I said nothing. I watched his hands. They were shaking when he poured water. That night, he went to sleep fast. I took his car keys from the table. One opened the trunk again. The bottles were gone. In their place was something wrapped in a brown envelope. I reached for it, then heard footsteps behind me. I froze and turned around. It was my husband. He asked what I was doing. I said I was looking for a charger. He didn't push. He took the keys from my hand and closed the trunk himself. He went inside without another word. The next day, I checked our joint savings account at work. I hadn't looked in months. The balance was lower than it should be. $8,000 was missing. The transfer was from last week. It went to an account I didn't recognize. That evening, I asked him about it. I kept my voice calm. He said it was an investment. He said a friend needed short-term help. He said the money would come back with profit. He didn't show me proof. He told me not to worry. I asked for the name of the friend. He said I wouldn't know him. I asked for the company name. He said it was confidential. He reminded me that he handled finances better than I did. That ended the talk. Later that night, my mother called. She asked how things were going. I didn't plan to tell her anything. But the words came out. I mentioned the missing money. She went quiet. Then she said one sentence that stayed in my head. She said she had searched his name months ago. She said she didn't like what she found. She said some records didn't line up. She said addresses changed too often. I asked why she never told me. She said she didn't want to ruin my marriage without proof. She told me to be careful. She told me to watch him closely. After the call, I checked my phone. There was a new notification, another withdrawal alert. This one was for $1,500. The transfer was still pending. I had minutes to act. One canceled the pending transfer. I didn't tell my husband. I needed more proof. The next morning, he left early again. He forgot his laptop at home. That never happened. I opened it using the code I already knew. I didn't search randomly. I went straight to the photo folder. Most files were new. Then I saw one old folder buried deep. It had a different date format. Inside was a graduation photo. My husband stood between a man and a woman. Both were smiling. They looked healthy. They looked proud. The date was 10 years ago. There was no sign of chaos, no sign of addiction, no sign of danger. I zoomed in. The man had the same eyes as my husband. The woman had his smile. This was not a lie from childhood. This was a recent, normal family. When my husband came home, I showed him the photo. I asked who they were. He froze. Then he said they were his parents before things went bad. He said the photo meant nothing. He said I was digging into pain that wasn't mine. I asked why he told me they were unreachable. I asked why hospitals called him now. He raised his voice. He said I was crossing lines. He shut the laptop and took it away. That night my mother came over. I showed her the photo. She studied it in silence. Then she said something that changed everything. She said she had seen this woman before. She said it was not 10 years ago. She said it was recent. She said she saw her at a bank 2 months ago. I asked her how she was sure. She pulled out her phone. She had a picture to prove it. My mother showed me the photo on her phone. It was taken inside a bank. The woman from the graduation picture stood near a desk. The date stamp was from 2 months ago. I felt the ground shift under me. My mother said she didn't search him out of fear. She said she searched him to protect me. She said she used an old contact who runs background checks. She said his records didn't match his stories. Names appeared and disappeared. Addresses changed fast. Jobs overlapped in ways that made no sense. I asked why she waited. She said she hoped she was wrong. She said she didn't want to destroy my marriage without solid proof. She said the bank photo scared her. That woman was not hiding. She was living a normal life. That night I confronted my husband again. I didn't show anger. I showed the bank photo. I asked him to explain. He stared at it for a long time. Then he said my mother was manipulating me. He said she never liked him. He said I had to choose who I trusted. I asked him one last thing. I asked if his parents were alive. He said yes. Then he said no. Then he stopped talking. He went into the bedroom and locked the door. I stood in the hallway and listened. I heard drawers opening. I heard paper moving. I heard a bag zip shut. An hour later, he walked out dressed to leave. He said he needed space. He said he would stay with a friend. He wouldn't tell me where. After he left, I went into the bedroom. The closet was half empty. His passport was gone, so was his backup phone. On the bed, he had left one thing behind on purpose. An envelope with my name written on it. I opened the envelope. Inside was a printed email. It said he was traveling for a work conference in Philadelphia. The dates were for the next 3 days. There was no note, no apology, just proof he wanted me to believe. The next morning, I checked his work calendar. The conference was real. His name was not on the list. I checked the hotel booking. It was paid in cash. That was not normal for him. At work, my assistant told me something else. She said his assistant called again. She said he asked if my husband had reached the office safely. He said he was worried because my husband never arrived. That confirmed it. He did not go to work. He did not go to the conference. He was somewhere else. I went home early. I didn't pack a bag. I packed documents. I took copies of our bank statements and my passport. I checked the car GPS history. It showed one long trip from last night. The destination was not Philadelphia. It was a small town 2 hours away. I searched the address. It led to a quiet street. Single homes, no hotels, no offices. I sat in my car for a long time. I thought about turning back. I didn't. I started the engine and followed the route. When I reached the street, I parked across from the address. The house looked clean. The lights were on. A car I recognized was in the driveway. It was his car. I watched the front door open. A woman stepped out. She looked exactly like the woman in the photo. I stayed in the car and watched. The woman checked the mailbox. She moved like she belonged there. She was calm. She was not hiding. My husband walked out behind her. He touched her arm. She looked worried. I stepped out of the car before I could stop myself. I walked toward them. My shoes felt heavy. My husband saw me first. His face drained of color, he didn't speak. I asked who she was. The woman looked between us. She asked who I was. I said I was his wife. Her hand went to her mouth. She whispered his name. It was not the name I knew. She invited me inside. My husband stayed frozen on the porch. The house was warm and quiet. Family photos lined the wall. All of them showed my husband at different ages. The woman said she was his mother. She said her husband was inside. She said they had been waiting for this day. I said I didn't understand. She sat me down and spoke slowly. She said their son had died 3 years ago. She said he disappeared and was later declared dead. She said the man I married used his identity. She said they tried to stop him. I said that was impossible. I said I lived with him. I said I loved him. She stood up and walked to a drawer. She took out a death certificate. The name matched my husband's. The date was 3 years ago. The photo was the same face. My hands shook. I asked where my husband was now. She looked at the front door. The house was silent. Then I heard a car engine start outside. I ran to the window. My husband's car was gone. The mother closed the door and locked it. Her hands were shaking. She said he always ran when the truth got close. Her husband came into the room. He looked tired. He placed a thick folder on the table. He said I needed to see everything. He said this was not the first time. Inside the folder were bank papers, wire transfers, loan records, property documents. Every page showed the same pattern. Money moved in small amounts. Then larger ones, always to accounts under different names. He pointed to one page. He said this was their house mortgage. He said their savings were gone. He said their son trusted the wrong person. He said that person took his identity after he died. I asked how their son died. He said it was sudden. He said it broke their family. He said grief made them weak. That was when the man I married appeared. He said he offered help. He said he stayed close. The mother said they believed him. She said he would protect their son's name. She said he slowly took control of papers and accounts. She said they didn't notice until it was too late. I looked at the dates. Some transfers were recent, very recent. I saw my name on one form. It was listed as a contact. It was listed as a reason. I asked why my name was there. The father said he blamed me. He said he told them his wife caused the losses. He said I was unstable. My phone buzzed in my hand. A message from my husband. It said, "You should not be there." I didn't reply to his message. My hands were cold. The mother asked what it said. I told her the truth. Her face tightened. She said this was how he controlled people. Fear first, silence after. The father picked up the folder again. He showed me another section. Medical papers, hospital bills, emergency contact forms, all recent, all from the same hospital that called my husband. I recognized the name. It was the number one saw on his phone. I asked who was in the hospital. The mother sat down hard. She said her husband collapsed 2 weeks ago. She said it happened after another bank meeting. She said stress almost killed him. The father said someone had been calling my husband from the hospital. He said the staff believed my husband was family. He said he signed forms under their son's name. He said he still had access. That meant my husband was still using the dead man's identity. That meant the hospital calls were not mistakes. Suddenly, the father grabbed his chest. His face went pale. He tried to stand and failed. The mother screamed his name. I rushed to him and pulled out my phone. I called emergency services and gave the address. I followed instructions. I kept him awake. His breathing was shallow. The mother cried beside him. Sirens grew louder. Relief hit me for 1 second. Then I saw another car slow down outside the house. It wasn't an ambulance. It was a dark sedan. It parked at the curb. 2 men stepped out and walked toward the door with purpose. The mother looked through the window and whispered, "They found us." The doorbell rang. Hard, I moved between the door and the father on the floor. The mother grabbed my arm. She said not to open it. The doorbell rang again. Louder, then knocking. I asked who they were through the door. A man said they were federal agents. He said they were there about identity fraud. He said they needed to come in now. The ambulance arrived at the same time. Sirens filled the street. 2 paramedics rushed inside when the mother unlocked the door. Right behind them, the 2 men stepped in and showed badges. They didn't look at me first, they looked at the folder on the table. One of them asked my name. I told him. His eyes changed. He asked how long I had been married. I said 2 years. He said the man I married was not my husband. He said the name I knew was stolen. He said the real owner of that identity died 3 years ago. He said they had been tracking the case for months. The paramedics lifted the father onto a stretcher. The mother held his hand. She begged the agents to stop him. She said he would hurt someone else. One agent asked me if I knew where he was now. I said he ran minutes ago. I showed them the message on my phone. They read it in silence. The other agent asked me to unlock my phone. He asked for permission to copy messages and bank alerts. I agreed. I wanted this to end. Before they left, one agent turned to me. He said my husband planned everything carefully. He said people like him never stop unless forced. Then my phone buzzed again. A new message appeared. It was from my husband's assistant. It said, "He knows you talked." The agents took me outside. The ambulance left with the father. The mother stayed behind, shaking. One agent asked me to sit in their car. He said it was safer. Inside, he showed me photos on a tablet. Each photo showed the same face. Different names, different states, different years. He said the man I married reused identities. He said this one was his longest. He told me the real son died suddenly, no foul play. After that, my husband entered their lives. He said he helped with paperwork. He said he gained trust. He said he slowly replaced the dead man. The agent said my marriage was part of the cover. A stable wife, joint accounts, clean image. He said my name made everything look real. I asked about the assistant. The agent said she was involved. He said she helped move money and set meetings. He said she thought it was legal. He said she was wrong. Another agent opened the door and said they lost his trail. He ditched the car. He switched phones. He planned this. The first agent looked at me and asked for help. He said my husband would contact me again. He said I was the only one he trusted now. I said I didn't want contact. He said that didn't matter. He said my husband would try to control the ending. They drove me home and stayed outside. I walked into an empty house. His things were gone. The walls felt wrong. I sat on the couch and stared at my phone. Minutes later, a call came in. Unknown number. I answered. His voice came through calm and steady. He said my name. He said, "We need to talk." I didn't answer right away. I let the silence stretch. He asked if I was alone. I said yes. That was a lie. The agents were outside. He said he never meant to hurt me. He said everything got out of control. He said he needed my help now. He said this was the only way to fix things. I asked where he was. He said that didn't matter. He said people were watching him. He said the agents lied to me. He said his parents were part of the setup. I told him they almost lost their home. I told him the father collapsed. He stopped speaking for a moment. Then he said that was not his problem. He said survival mattered more than feelings. He said there was still money moving. He said a final transfer was scheduled. He said only I could stop it or finish it. He said my name was the key on the account. I asked what would happen if I refused. He said nothing bad. Then he corrected himself. He said nothing bad yet. I heard movement on his end. Cars, voices. He said time was short. He told me to meet him in public. He said no police. He said if I brought anyone, people would suffer. I told him I needed proof. I told him I needed to see him. He agreed too fast. He sent a location. It was a cake tasting appointment at our wedding venue. Tomorrow afternoon. He said it would look normal. He said that was the point. The call ended. I stepped outside and showed the agents the message and the location. They exchanged looks. One of them nodded. He said this was what they were waiting for. Then my phone buzzed again. A second message came through. It was from my husband's assistant. It said, "If you don't go alone, the transfer goes through." The agents didn't argue. They planned fast. They said the venue was public and controlled. They said I would not be alone, even if he believed it. They fitted a small wire under my dress. It sat flat near my waist. They tested sound. They told me to speak clearly. They told me not to rush him. They told me to let him talk about money. The next day, I arrived early. The venue smelled like sugar and coffee. A staff member smiled and led me to a small table. Cake samples were already set, everything looked normal. He arrived 5 minutes late. He looked calm, clean, familiar. He kissed my cheek like nothing had happened. I didn't pull away. He sat and started talking about flavors. Vanilla, chocolate, lemon. I nodded, I waited. I asked him why he lied about his parents. He smiled and said lies are tools. He said tools keep people safe. He said I was safest when I didn't know. I asked about the money. He leaned closer. He said the final transfer would clear tonight. He said it would erase problems forever. He said all I had to do was approve it. I asked where the money would go. He said offshore. He said new name, new start. He said I could come with him. I asked what would happen to the parents. He said they were already done. He said the assistant handled the rest. I saw movement near the door, reflections in the glass. The agents were ready. He reached across the table and touched my hand. He whispered that if I said one wrong word, someone would die. Then he stood up suddenly. He looked past me. His eyes widened. He said this wasn't the plan. I turned slightly and saw what he saw. 2 agents had entered the venue. They were dressed casual, but he knew. His hand slipped from mine. His face changed. He took one step back, then another. He dropped his fork. It hit the plate and cracked. The sound was sharp. He moved fast, too fast. He pushed past a staff member and ran toward the side exit. Chairs fell. People shouted. The agents moved at once. I stood up but didn't chase him. I stayed where I was like they told me. My heart stayed steady. My focus stayed clear. He reached the door. One agent grabbed his arm. He twisted free. He slammed into a table and knocked it over. Cake hit the floor. Glass shattered. Another agent tackled him near the exit. They hit the ground hard. He fought. He screamed my name. He told me to stop them. I didn't move. They cuffed his hands behind his back. He turned his head and looked straight at me. His face was calm again, too calm. He said one sentence, slow and clear. He said the transfer was already set. The agents pulled him up and walked him out. People stared. Phones were raised. No one understood what they saw. An agent came to me and told me it was over. I asked if it was. He didn't answer right away. My phone vibrated in my hand. A notification appeared from the bank app. It said a scheduled transfer was still pending. The amount was larger than before. It was set to process in 30 minutes. The account holder name was not his. It was mine. The agents moved me to a quiet room at the venue. They closed the door. One of them asked for my phone. I handed it over. The bank alert was still on the screen. They opened the account details. The transfer was real. It was linked to an account under my legal name. I had never opened it. The agent said that didn't matter. The paperwork was clean enough to pass. They asked if I ever signed anything for my husband without reading it. I said yes. He handled finances. He said it was easier that way. The agent nodded. He said that was how it worked. The timer kept counting down. 22 minutes left. They tried to freeze the account. The request was denied. The system required in-person verification or a specific security phrase. They asked if I knew the phrase. I said number 1, said my husband handled all passwords. One agent stepped aside and made a call. His voice dropped. He came back and said the assistant was gone. Her phone was off. She was the one who set the trigger. I felt trapped inside my own name. My phone buzzed again. A message came through from an unknown number. The agents read it with me. It said the phrase was something personal, something I would never forget. They asked what that could be. I thought fast. I went through dates, places, names. None felt right. Then I remembered the envelope he left behind. I told the agents I needed to go home. They said time was short. I said the answer was there. They agreed to drive me. The clock showed 12 minutes left. We reached the house. I ran inside and went straight to the bedroom. I searched the drawer where he kept old papers. At the bottom was a folded card. Inside were 4 words written in his handwriting. They were not romantic. They were a warning. The timer dropped to 5 minutes. The card shook in my hand. The 4 words were clear. They matched the way he controlled people. Cold, exact. I read them once. I didn't read them again. The agent asked what it said. I told him. He typed the phrase into the bank system through a secure line. The screen loaded slowly. The seconds felt loud. 2 minutes left. The request went through. The transfer status changed to paused, not canceled, just paused. The agent said that wasn't enough. He said the assistant could restart it from another device. He said we needed the source account path. I asked how. He said my husband built layers. He said there was always one more door. My phone rang again. This time it was a video call. It was him. He was sitting in the back of a police car. His hands were cuffed. He smiled when he saw my face. He said I did well. He said I almost won. He said almost was never enough. He said the pause would expire. He said the money would move whether he talked or not. He said someone else had the final access. The agent leaned close and asked who. My husband looked straight into the camera. He said it was my assistant. He said she was loyal. He said she believed everything he told her. He said she thought the money was legal. He said she would finish what he started. The call ended. The agent swore under his breath. He said they needed her location now. He said every minute mattered. My phone buzzed with a new message. It was from my assistant. It said, I did what he asked, I'm scared. Under the message was a location pin. It was not a city. It was an airport. The timer resumed. 7 minutes left. The agents moved fast. One of them grabbed his radio. Another opened the car door. I followed without asking. The airport was 20 minutes away. We didn't have that time. In the car, I called my assistant. She answered on the first ring. She was crying. She said she didn't understand what she had done. She said he told her it was a legal transfer. She said he promised her a new job overseas. I told her to stop moving. I told her not to board any plane. I told her to listen to me. She said she was already inside the terminal. The agent took the phone and told her to stay where she was. He said help was coming. She hung up. We reached the airport and split up. The agents ran ahead. I followed signs to departures. The place was loud and crowded. Screens flashed flight numbers. People moved in every direction. My phone buzzed again, a bank alert. The transfer pause had restarted, 4 minutes left. I spotted her near a gate. She was holding a small bag. Her hands were shaking. I ran to her and grabbed her arm. She screamed when she saw me. I told her to give me the phone. She said she couldn't. She said he told her never to let it go. She said if she stopped now, everything would fall on her. An agent shouted from behind us. Security rushed in. People backed away. The assistant looked at me and asked one question. She asked if he was lying to her too. I said yes. I said he used everyone. She looked at the phone. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Then a loud voice echoed through the terminal. My name. I turned. I saw him being pushed forward by officers. He was smiling. He said, "Don't let her touch it." The timer hit 30 seconds. I didn't look at him. I kept my eyes on her phone. I told her to unlock it. I told her this was her last chance to fix it. Her hands shook so hard she almost dropped it. He kept talking behind me. He said she would go to prison. He said I was using her. He said she should listen to him. His voice was calm. That scared me more than shouting. The timer showed 15 seconds. The agent grabbed his arm and pulled him back. He didn't fight. He laughed. He said it was too late. I told her the truth fast. I told her the agents had proof. I told her he would never protect her. I told her he already blamed everything on her. She cried once, just once. Then she pressed her thumb to the screen and handed me the phone. The agent typed fast. He followed the path. He canceled the transfer at the source. 3 seconds left. The screen flashed. Transfer failed. The alert came through on my phone, then on hers. The sound felt unreal. Security took her aside. She didn't resist. She kept saying she was sorry. I believed her. He stopped smiling. He looked at me and spoke low so only I could hear. He said the money was not the worst part. He said I still hadn't found what he set up last. He said this was never about cash. The agents pulled him away. He didn't look back. One of them told me it was over. I knew he was wrong. My phone buzzed again. A final message appeared. It was scheduled. It was delayed. and it was addressed to someone close to me. I opened the message. It was an email alert, not a text. It showed a delayed action, not money, property access, power of attorney. The name listed was my mother. I felt sick but stayed focused. I showed the agents. They moved closer. One of them said this was the last layer. He said it was meant to activate after arrest. We drove straight to my mother's house. I called her on the way. She answered, confused. She said 2 men had come earlier. They said they were from the bank. They asked her to sign papers to secure my assets. I told her not to sign anything. I told her to lock the door. I told her to wait. When we arrived, police were already there. The men were gone. Inside, my mother was safe. She hadn't signed. She had stalled them. The agents checked her email and files. They found fake documents prepared in advance, all ready to move control of my property. My name, her approval. One agent said this was his exit plan. If he couldn't take money, he would take control. If that failed, he would destroy trust between me and everyone close. I sat down and tried to breathe steady. I realized something then. He didn't want the money most. He wanted reach. He wanted power even from a cell. The agent told me they would shut the last access down. He said it would take hours. He said there could be no more surprises. I didn't believe that. My phone vibrated again. This time, it was a voice message. From a number one knew too well. My husband. He said one sentence. He said, "You still married me for a reason." The message ended. Behind it was an attachment. A document dated tomorrow morning. Court scheduled. Under my name, the document was a court filing, emergency hearing, claim of marital abandonment, claim of financial abuse. All filed under my husband's stolen name. He had planned one last move. The agent read it and nodded once. He said it wouldn't work. He said the filing depended on active identity status. That identity was now locked, dead on record, no appeal. I listened while they made calls. I watched them shut accounts, revoke access, freeze documents. Every door he built was closing. An hour later, they confirmed it. Nothing else was pending, no delayed actions, no hidden triggers. This time it was real. I went home alone that night. The house felt quiet but clean, like air after a storm. I packed his last things into a box. I didn't rush. Before I slept, I checked my phone one last time. There was a message, timestamp minutes, before his phone was confiscated. It said he never lied about one thing. It said he chose me because I was strong. It said strength made people useful. I deleted it. Weeks later, the case went public. His real name came out. His pattern was exposed. Every victim connected the same way. I met his mother once more. She thanked me without words. The father survived, slowly. The marriage was erased in court. No battle, no delay, just truth on record. I kept nothing from him, not the ring, not the names, not the memory. I don't look back anymore. Because the last lie he told was that he owned my future. He never did. You have reached the end of the text.